welcome back to T3's Week in Tech podcast. I'm Sam.
I'm Emily.
And we're here to give you all the latest information on a week in tech.
What have we got going on?
It's been a quiet week, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, I missed last week, so you had a little sit-in for me. But I'm back and raring to go.
I actually did go to one of my rare event attendances. I went to the Oppo Reno 13 Pro launch. 13 Pro.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was interesting. It's not really a phone I guess we would normally cover, but it's like fully. It's okay. I have a question for you because this is going to sound silly. IP69.
Mm-hmm.
I thought ratings only went up to 88. What's this 99 bit? What's this?
So no,
69 IP69.
IP
is what they say the phone
ratings
is.
in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically so the IP is
I know what the IP
pretty much
is.
irrelevant. The two numbers are
Dust resistance
and water resistance. So the 9 is one higher than 8, which means I
know.
don't know quite what it gets to, but it's like
Exactly. I thought the limit was 8.
No. The limit's never been 8.
So
There's been 69 rated devices before,
Oh, okay.
or other 9 rated devices.
Because like
but,
99 would be like low-key invincible, right? Like,
Sure.
isn't that the point? Things can't. I mean, so the point is, being they had a demo where they basically put this thing underwater and took photos with it, like just underwater. He left it in the tank for a bit. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like it's fine. So for like underwater photography, that would be kind of fun. And also, like, it is a mid-range phone, and it had me thinking about like how we've talked about rugged phones and how they're like a lot of them are, still look quite good, but are have some really powerful stats behind them, and that's not even like a pro model.
I love the Oppo Reno series. I've had the last couple of them actually. I think they always look brilliant. It's just nice to see them start to get a little bit more
It's fun.
specs to go with it. And to be honest, it's nice to see across the board because Oppo's obviously back in Europe and the UK and stuff. It just seems like they're properly cooking at the minute, which is cool.
Yeah, they were great. No, it was a fun event. It felt like they were properly. I think it was their first like UK event in several years. There's the first product they launched in the UK in years, right? So that was great.
Cool.
Had a good time.
Cool.
I don't know if I'm getting one. Not really. They didn't really leave me sure with that, but anyways,
they're cool. They're cool handsets. As I say, I've had the last couple of years and generations through, but they're great phones. I've just never, so many devices come through here that you kind of only get a certain amount of time where you can look at something before you have to move on to what comes next. But cool. I like that.
Yeah, and I also had to play with the camera, and it might have been because, obviously we had like ideal settings with all the good lights and stuff and little things to photograph, but I had a little play, and like the control you had over it natively on the phone was actually pretty great.
Nice.
I had a good time with it. So that was enjoyable. That's like I think really all I did last week was go to that.
I have a theory about mid-range phones and their cameras. I think they're better than high-end ones.
Ooh, why now?
So I've got a CMF Phone 1. We'll come back to that in a minute because I've got things to say about the potential replacement for that. But the CMF Phone 1, 250 quid phone. One camera sensor in it is a 50 megapixel. I'm pretty sure it's a Samsung JN1, something like that sensor. Okay. And it's obviously so budget that you have to make concessions, and that means that probably some of those concessions, one would assume, come in the computational photography side of things, right? So you stop having all of these weird AI artifacts. And the thing that I hate more than anything else on modern camera phones is that when you zoom in, everything kind of looks like a little bit of a bad painting.
Yeah.
But I don't think you get that so much on cheaper phones. And I'm starting to think that actually there's a point in time that we're not far from where the mid-range handset is going to take a better photo than the top-end handset.
Well,
looking at it from like a photographer's perspective. Obviously, it's much easier to use that computational photography for a layman to get a good-looking photo. But if you actually want to sit there and compose a photo like you would with an old-school camera, obviously, I'm a photography fan. That's my bag. I think it's easier to do that on a cheap phone because there's less in the way.
I do think that they will. I think the AI stuff is catching up to the mid-range phones though, because like
Yeah.
the Samsung A56 isn't that the latest one? The Samsung Galaxy A56 is their like latest mid-range, and that's the sell is that some of the AI features from the Galaxy Ultra series is coming to.
Yeah,
that.
it's obviously it's something that is going to be impossible to avoid.
Yeah.
But I think right now there's a nice sweet spot, and it's just something interesting when you talk about like the camera being good on that device. Is that actually I think they're almost is unencumbered a word? I always say it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think that's sort of what I get. There's no clutter. They're not. There's nothing that's sort of getting in the way of just taking a photo, and that's fantastic. That's how it should be. I really like that.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject and I've spoken about it, can we talk about so it's called the CMF Phone 2 Pro, firstly, which is something of a revelation because
now it's truly Pro, because unlike the 2A Pro, which is a mid-range phone, it's not Pro. The CMF, though, is doing a different thing. Can we just brief overview of the CMF and nothing ranges, because I think I'm confused yet again about what is a better phone, what's the most recent phone, what's going to have a successor that's actually better even though the name is Pro.
This is kind of interesting because obviously nothing and CMF by extension have kind of talked in the past about how new devices, they don't always want them to like take over. It's not designed to replace, it's designed to go alongside, right? We've heard Carl Pei say words to that effect in the past.
Yeah, but I mean, by releasing so many phones, like there's so many in the lineup now to choose from, you're asking for more waste in that way, if that's what they're kind of, I don't know.
So at the minute we have, I think you can still buy the Nothing Phone 2.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
I'd hope. Yeah.
I haven't checked.
That's still the latest flagship, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, because A isn't any better. That's like their light version, isn't it?
Hang on. Oh. That's right. The 3's not out yet. I'm sorry. Ignore me. I've got that the wrong way around.
No, but that's confusing, right? Because the 3 isn't out yet, but yet they've released the 3A.
Okay.
Sorry, I said the 2A Pro recently, but I meant the 3A and the 3A Pro.
Right.
Which are both lesser than the 3, but the 3 isn't out yet.
I've got the Nothing website here. So you can still currently buy the Phone 2, the Phone 2A, the Phone 2A Plus, the Phone 3A, and the Phone 3A Pro. Then if we do CMF products. So CMF, you can still buy the CMF Phone 1, which is obviously the only one that's currently launched. We're expecting the CMF Phone 2 Pro at the end of this month. I think it's the 28th.
Where's the 2?
Well, this is the thing, right? So at the minute, there's no talk of a 2. We thought that this was going to be CMF Phone 2.
Don't name it Pro! What do you mean?
Well, and this is what I mean. I think that actually they're kind of angling it in the same sort of way where it's like, okay, the CMF Phone 1 is still relevant, because it is still relevant.
Yeah,
I still use that phone all the time. If you want a newer processor and a third camera, another camera, like technically there's only going to be 2 cameras, I believe. The other one's a depth sensor that you don't actually use for image taking. If you want the third sensor, you pay and get the CMF Phone 2 Pro. That's certainly how I see Nothing's strategy as being.
Why didn't they name it the Nothing Phone 1 Pro then?
Well, I think it's to do with consumer perception more than anything. Because if you...
My consumer is not perceiving this correctly.
if you saw CMF Phone 1 launch last year, and then a year later you got CMF Phone 1 Pro, I don't think that works. I think consumers are so set in the numbered generational mindset that
then
maybe
just
I'm
name
wrong.
It the 2.
Well, this is, I kind of think it should have been the 2. But, I mean, look, we've talked about Nothing's naming conventions in the past, and it is worth saying that it is one of the most confusing brands to get your head around. Fantastic phones.
Love them
Absolutely,
so much.
absolutely nothing to gripe about there. But I do think that it is, I mean, I'm just sat here looking at this now. There's 5 Nothing phones currently on offer, brand new from the company. And in theory... the most flagship of them all is the oldest one, called the Phone 2.
Right.
But you've subsequently got 2A, 2A Plus, 3A, 3A Pro, all of which are, in theory, designed to sit underneath that, as far as I can tell. Because also, I don't necessarily know that they do.
Is it an Apple situation where, I mean, I guess we'd have to pull up the actual stats and stuff, but maybe it's an Apple situation in which the 3A, despite being lesser than the 3, is still going to be more powerful than the 3 or than the 2? So does it sit between or does it sit under?
I must be honest with you, I don't know. And I think this is part of the problem, and kind of what we're trying to highlight here actually is that it's a little bit tough to navigate from a consumer perspective. And I think I don't envy anyone who's sort of, because nothing's such a cool brand right now, right? If you're really into the brand and you go, oh, I'm going to go out and buy myself a nothing phone.
Yeah.
And you sit and you look at that and you go, well, which one do I mean?
I'm afraid they're diluting it a little bit. Like, I guess they've made it so, I mean, I know they have a really dedicated fan base, right? Maybe the average person who's gonna buy a nothing phone already knows all this stuff because they're such a fan.
Maybe.
But that makes it hard for just your average consumer to get into it, you know? At least with iPhone, you go in and you say, 16 is the latest range. Boom. You know, you've got all those. And at least, like, you know, release the 3 before you release the 3A and the 3A Pro.
Yeah, I find that an interesting one because I feel like and
it's like it's not quite ready yet, guys,
you know
but we'll release a teaser.
It's not a bad thing. I'm not actually going to slate it because it's only because I think we're so into the Apple mindset of you go top down, right? That's how Apple's always done it. And as such, I think people assume that everyone does it that way. And it doesn't have to be. And I always like seeing brands do something differently. I just think, for me personally, the bigger concern is actually the 3A and the 2A, for example, being the same. Or I think the 2A Plus and the 3A Pro are effectively the same device, a generation apart. The 2A Plus was obviously released a little later in the cycle, which
2A Plus?
Yes.
I forgot about that.
So I think the thing that confuses me more is it feels like the 2A and the 2A Plus should be designated as, like, you know, old now.
Yeah, goodbye.
So then you have the Phone 2, the Phone 3A, the Phone 3A Pro. And it's like, okay, at least we know the new generation is coming and they've started, you know, from the ground up. That makes sense to me.
I don't know. I feel like you've got to have a base before you start building.
Sure, but I
know what you're saying.
I
like,
think
you
this
think
is
the
their
3A
base.
is the base, but
This is like the iPhone 16. The 3A is the iPhone 16.
So then what, when they name it, when they go with the 3, which is going to be more powerful, we assume, than the current Pro model, what are they calling it?
The
Just
Nothing
the
Phone 3.
Right, but
which is your iPhone 16 Pro Max. So it's just the opposite way around. And I don't mind that. I think it's actually nice to see brands doing it differently because God knows the industry needs it. But
I don't mind. Okay, I think their ideal situation, if they're going to be releasing all these phones with slight little upgrades, you know, and just still offering all of them, I think they should go like software almost. Phone 1. Okay, now the next little upgrade, Phone 1.1. Phone 1.2. And just keep going. And then when you finally got a great upgrade, signal to the consumer that, hey, actually, this is a really big upgrade, and go to the 2.
Yeah.
But each time, you know, you retire the one that's like right before it. If you've made a small upgrade to, you know, stop selling the 1, keep selling the 1.2, you know?
And you know who could pull that off is nothing.
Exactly.
That
100%.
is so a strategy that would work for them.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
I think that'd be brilliant, though.
And
it makes more sense to me because I think I agree with you. I don't mind. Okay, I don't mind if you're saying that the 3A is the base. Fine, but in which case, like, I just don't want you call it the 3A and the 3B. I don't know. Don't call it the 3A Pro.
Actually, do you know what?
Stick with one.
I think the trouble.
Naming convention.
Well, the trouble with that is, if you go to 3B, I think to most people,
that seems
3B
less.
sounds worse than 3A.
The name of 3B and 3A. I don't know. I mean, I guess
it's an interesting conundrum, but one that is, I think the point that it's taken us this long to get to this point kind of proves what we're saying, where it's just a little bit haphazard.
I hate to say it, but don't break what ain't broke. You know, I know you're saying like, oh, fine, like let's, it's nice to see them refreshing stuff. I'd like to see their devices refresh stuff, which they are. Yeah, I don't think you need to refresh there's some things you can just leave, Why is this the hill to die on here?
I mean, I don't hate it. It is what it is. It's just
I mean, I still wish they just had 1, 2, because then the best of the best is in that. And I just feel like they're really wandering into bad territory, because I think what makes nothing so appealing, or at least it was when, I think I've said this before, but it won our brand of the year 2023, I think. I was the one who nominated Nothing for that award, and it ended up winning it. And I thought the way they were executing the brand back then, brilliant. Now it feels a bit, I don't know, culty in a bad way.
Okay. I don't know if I'd go that far.
I think it felt like the new Apple. It started to feel like the new Apple.
I still think
the 1, the 2,
I still think it is in many ways. The trouble is, I think it almost feels to me like they are launching a little bit sooner than they maybe should.
Yeah.
I think it feels almost like you go, and I hate bringing it back to Apple because we always do, and it feels so sort of, but you know where you stand, right? Every September there is a new range of iPhones. They release 4 then, and then in 6 months later they'll release a limited edition color, and that's it.
Or the E.
Or an E, yeah, and that's it.
Yeah.
That is all you get, and that you could set your clock by it. It's so precise, and that the rest of that year, whatever develop, it's not like they go, oh my god, we've just cracked this amazing thing. We've got a new camera. Let's release a 16 Plus Pro Ultra now, so that people can buy that. And I think that's how it comes across from Nothing. Is like they've done something, and it goes, oh, let's put that out. Let's put that out. And if you actually just hung on to it and went, right, now when we release the next device, it's got 7 big upgrades or whatever that we could have put out as 7 phones in the year, but
and that's actually quite a lot of hype. Yeah.
And I think that is it. I don't believe that it's as dramatic as we're making it come across, but I do think that there is an element of that, and I wonder. I mean, it's obviously working for him as well. That's the other thing, right?
I guess. I don't know though. I mean, I get. I mean, it was also brought to my attention last week that they use Pokemon to tease. I didn't know that they used Pokemon to tease phones. I think that's kind of crazy.
What?
Oh, okay. So you don't know this either. Okay, there was an article written by Chris Hall on the site that was about the hinting that they were dropping the CMF phone 2 or whatever at the time that we thought. And he was saying that people thought that because they started dropping Pokemon hints, new Pokemon hints. And he was saying, oh, they've used that for CMF phones in the past, and even in the Nothing phone. So apparently the Nothing phone 3A was teased with Arcanine. I didn't know that whatsoever. I thought it was like the Beatles with they had a bug for each one. It was really nicely photographed.
Yes, I remember
I thought that was nice.
Maybe it's like nice, internal and public facing, because they do have code names and stuff, don't they?
Oh, but it was saying definitely teasing. And I just think that's so limiting. It makes it feel like, I don't know. I think it should be brand, I think brand loyalty should be based on, not culty.
I think
I feel like they're leaning too much into nerd culture. I feel like they're leaning too much into dare I say incel culture, like Reddit boys and No,
I don't know.
Reddit.
I think I don't know if that's maybe a little far.
I know that. I mean, I know it's a little far, but it feels like they used to be so chic, and
I still think they are. Like I say, I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with it. It's just I just think that it could be clearer.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to be any deeper than that.
But also, if they're saying, sorry, and this will be my last point, because I know we've talked about it for a while, but okay, so you said that they have said before that the intent is not to make people want to go out and buy a new phone if they don't need it, I guess.
Yes.
So, in my mind, if I am, kind of a nerd for tech, saying that in a good way, we are, and I think that's what a lot of Nothing's fan base tends to be, quite excited about stuff. Then when are you going to say, okay, I've got the 2. I kind of want to upgrade. They've released the 3A and the 3A Pro. I would wait and see what the 3 has to offer but I don't know because I don't know how to compare it, and 2, I don't know when the 3 is actually coming. So do I spend money now?
Yes.
Or say, so that's kind of contradictory. Like, spend money now and then
Sure.
maybe upgrade later when a bigger upgrade comes along. But then you're towing that line of, oh, do I wait? Do I do it now? Oh, I don't know. Like, kind of like,
It comes back to what I was saying, right? It just feels a little bit unpredictable at this point.
Yeah.
And it's still a young company, so I guess maybe that will establish itself over time. But I think you almost, as a consumer, I think you're sort of sat there going, how long is the wait before the next thing? Is it worth giving it 3 months to see if there's another device that lands? And I guess that anyway, we've gone completely down the rabbit hole, because what I wanted to say was that as of today, as we're recording this, they've just shared details of what looks to be a new color and back material for the CMF Phone 2 Pro. And sweet Lord above, it is beautiful. It is this silvery grey, textured, marbly looking finish, and that is stunning.
From what I'm seeing on your screen right there, it's kind of giving recycled material.
I know what you mean. I don't know if it is.
I'd like to see it in person.
Yeah, I think it looks stunning. We have heard a lot of rumors as well that the backplate is going to be a different material on this model. There's no confirmed details at the moment, but that is certainly a positive sign. I would rock the living daylights out of that. That is beautiful. Really, really nice and very, very chic looking. When you think that this is a phone that we're kind of anticipating is going to be like 250 quid as well, like that looks banging.
Are they repairable entirely?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, kind of like the Fairphone. Where can you take it apart?
Well,
I know
you can take it apart to a point of like it's like iFixit repairable. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Same as any other phone would be.
I'm just seeing some very obvious screws, and I know some of those are more for like aesthetic purposes.
They're to
and
take
like
the back plates off, and you can switch out the backs and stuff, and put accessories on them.
Which I like.
Yeah,
I like
do.
to take one apart and make a video out of it, to be honest, because I think that's quite fun. But it reminds me, I really liked. It's kind of a shame that they're not doing very well, but Fairphone. I kind of miss that idea. Like, I think they're leaning way too hard into the eco stuff, because I just, I don't mean to be a downer, but I think that that's not what people are. I think it's automatically limiting yourself. But the aspect that I really liked was that, you could upgrade the camera module if you wanted to. You know?
And so I've used a Fairphone, right?
You're the one who brought it to my attention, I think.
The trouble with them is that while it's good in practice, it doesn't really work. I think it's a fundamentally flawed concept.
Really?
It's a lovely idea, and for some people it'll be absolutely fine, because we're obviously very into this world. There are people out there who just want a phone so that they can ring their mum and whatever, and like they don't need anything else.
They'll buy an iPhone then, or a Samsung Galaxy.
But they might buy a Fairphone if they go, oh well, this is good for the planet. Yeah.
But what?
The trouble is that in order to, let's take a camera for example, right? You say we can upgrade the camera module. In order for that to work on the Fairphone, you have to put the new camera module in exactly the same space as the old camera module, with the same component leads in all the same places. That is really difficult
to do.
And limiting. Not only that, but it's not a single thing, right? If you want to upgrade the camera significantly, you probably need to put a new processor in, because with each new processor comes a leap where you can go, oh, well, now we can use 200 megapixel. And then there's the software side of it, and this and that. And it's a great idea, but I think it's too niche to work effectively.
I think a modular phone company could be really cool, like a Build-A-Bear situation where you walk in and you say, I need this, 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 and they add it up by and they build it like in front of you with different options. I think that could be really great, because it then answers, I know this is just like a pipe dream, whatever. Maybe I start this business. But I think that would be really cool, because then you're pandering to the people who, do you want a Plus phone? Do you want like all those different iterations that all these phone companies are doing? And that is consistently where I think they kind of stray from me personally.
Yeah.
Then you kind of answer that. And also, you're making phones that people have to think about and want, and that way you are kind of reducing the likelihood that they're gonna want to just upgrade the next time. You know, then and potentially, I know what you mean. It is hard to fit. A lot. This is why we have the issues with like the battery for the Slim and stuff.
Yeah,
where things
100%.
don't fit. They're making it, but if we could dedicate ourselves to making that work, which I'm sure people can do because they're fucking smart. Sorry. My bad. But I'm sure that's. Tell me if that's not possible, guys. If you're listening and you're an engineer, like let me know. But I think that could be a really cool concept, and that's also eco-friendly without being like, you don't ever buy anything in your life. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I guess the other problem with this is the same as everything. It's an economy of scale, right? And the reason why we've got to a point where phones are relatively affordable. I'm going to say relatively affordable in terms of like you've got a magnificent computer in your pocket. That's amazing.
Yeah.
The reason why we've got it to that is because we've refined it and it's so predictable. You can sell 80 million iPhones in exactly the format they're in. You can't do that if everyone picks and chooses different bits to go in it. So therefore, the price would inflate quite dramatically. Yeah. And that then means that less people want it. Also,
I'd argue that would work, though, because think about, like, I don't know. So it has become like a dedication to go out and buy a new iPhone. Like that's a major purchase at that point, right? Now, if you could present me with a phone that's $250, and I think they have a kind of cool concept, maybe I'll go in and buy that cheap $250 phone if I have the promise of, maybe you can come in later and upgrade the camera module. Oh, you can come in later and upgrade the battery, stuff like that. And then those can be a little bit more expensive because that's how consumers work. I don't mean to be devious about it, but like, come on, you could charge a bit more for each of those like components.
Yeah.
And then over time, you're getting people to buy into your system. And then you're also, God, this is a whole business plan right here, guys.
It's an interesting one. I don't think it would work in the real world personally.
Yeah, probably not.
I like the idea.
I would get behind that.
Yeah.
I'd like to,
I fully believe you would.
Yeah. It's fully like, though, like I like nothing, but I've actually never used a nothing phone like as my driver. I have an iPhone. I use an iPhone.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a secret. But I still I'm I'm rooting for you from afar. Like making videos about nothing. I love nothing. But I don't get their stuff.
If I may, can I change the subject?
Yes, I also want to change the subject.
What do you want to change it to?
It's probably not what you wanted to change the subject to. I want to change the subject to how funny I think it is that McLaren has released in the span of like 2 weeks. They've suddenly released all these different partnerships. They're partnering with everyone from Bowers and Wilkins to NutriBullet, which is kind of crazy. I think we're gonna suddenly see a drop in all of that because I think they were like, we're gonna be champions this year, and then last Grand Prix comes by and they're like, actually, maybe we have the same problem we did last year. I think it was a case of too confident, too quick.
I mean, McLaren's always branded itself really well. I think the thing is as well.
I don't think branding themselves as a NutriBullet is a good idea, though. I think that's overboard. I think that's so much.
Do you?
Yeah. Why would you put? Well, I don't want my favorite F1 team. First of all, that's ugly. It ain't going in my kitchen. Like that colorway? Nah. Also, like, I don't need.
I don't mind it. It's part and parcel of the modern world, isn't it? You do branded collaboration.
I'm not gonna pay extra for that.
I mean, but people will. People like it.
Okay.
It's no different to
those
like.
people don't have taste.
Well,
sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind that. I think that's kind of cool. I quite like it. I think also with McLaren specifically, they've got such a strong color branding that like it's so easy.
Aggressive.
It's so easy to do stuff like that though, because it's like you instantly know what it is.
You do.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Although it does get really confusing, right? When people are like, "Oh, are they doing orange for McLaren at this race?" Oh no, it's actually for Max Verstappen. Like, when did he? Why is he orange? I actually don't quite.
What, Verstappen? Isn't it the Dutch thing?
Oh, I don't know.
Because it's the Dutch royal family, I think, is orange coloured.
Okay. I just know I do associate with him.
Carrots were naturally purple, and they were modified to be orange to appease the Dutch
The
royal family.
Dutch.
I thought that might well be urban myth. If this makes it into the final edit, that might be an urban myth. But I love that. That's one of my favourite bits of knowledge, so I hope it's not.
Why are carrots orange Dutch is what they're trying to finish. By developing a sweeter carrot, the Dutch created an orange one. There's folklore that the colorful new carrot was created to honor the House of Orange. Folklore, but they were actually just it's the thing in the carrot that makes it so sweet is actually orange.
But presumably they might have gone, oh, well,
Pretty.
we've got purple and we've got orange. I want the orange one because it's on brand.
It's also sweeter.
Anyway, I'm going to change the subject from carrots.
Carrots, Max Verstappen, and McLaren.
Back to a longtime favourite of ours, the Samsung Galaxy S Pen. And I've got bad news. It looks like it might be going again after a recent report said, no, it's not going. Well, apparently that might be hogwash. There is another report that's come out which says, and very specifically, I might add, the housing for the S Pen may leave the Ultra, not in the S26, but in the future generations. It's not confirmed. The report said that they were mulling over the idea, but, and here's a big but, it very specifically said the housing. I think it's no longer going to be a built-in thing. I think it'll be like the
That's what I
Z
want it
Fold.
for.
Yes, I agree with you.
I don't want a little pen that I'm going to lose in my bag.
I completely agree. I think it'll be like the Z Fold and the Tab where the stylus still works, but you just have to have it separate. However, I think that is a catastrophe.
Yeah, that's horrible. I hate that.
Samsung, if you are listening to this, please spring load the S Pen so that it can be half the size and fit in half the housing space. You're halfway there. Surely, am I making this too simple? Like,
No.
If the stylus, say,
I think you're probably right.
do you know what I mean? The stylus is that long. If you could fit it that long and then have the top half retract over the top, so you push it into the thing, you got housing that deep, goes in, and then the other half slides along the outside, and it makes sense in my head, right? This is not like a far-fetched.
Yeah.
It's not something that's ridiculous. I don't know.
It's not a completely modular phone like a Build-A-Bear workshop. It's small steps. No, but I do think that, I don't know, if it's spring-loaded, that's going to be a bit naff, I think it's going to be...
Do you?
I think that's going to like make it really cheap and breakable. But, I mean, you know, I don't know. That's just another bit to break. But also...
Maybe.
Oh, God. This has been more drama than a Netflix series. Like, with all these twists and turns, all these back and forths. Will they, won't they? Crazy.
Yeah. It's like Ross and Rachel, to be honest.
Samsung and the S Pen.
I really, and I've said this before, and we've talked about this before, and I won't harp on about it. I hope they do keep it, because it is one thing that I think differentiates it. The trouble is, I think the differentiation comes in it being in the phone.
Yeah.
I think as soon as you take that away,
I'm also so much more likely to use it if it's already in the phone.
100%.
If it's there, and it's not something I'm going to lose that's extra, you know? Like,
and I love it as well, I should say. I mean, I haven't had a Samsung device for years now, but God, I remember always taking those things out and like
the Nintendo DS.
Yeah, not a million miles from the DS. Yeah. Anyway, so that's another thing.
Here's another analogy though too. Like with my iPad, I have the Apple Pencil, and that thing will fly off. I did rescue a guy's Apple Pencil on a train one time. I was like, no, sir, you're gonna need this. I know you didn't notice it fell off, because I also would not notice if it fell off, because I have multiple times. I lose it in my bag all the time, but luckily, you know, not in real life. But the step that I take to mitigate that, obviously, is I only use cases that have the little pen holder as well. So I've got a case on at the moment that I really like, but it doesn't have the pen holder. And I'm like, oh, but that's going to cause a problem, because then I'm going to lose my pen, and then, you know, I don't know. But so something about having it physically held to the iPad, that's,
yeah. I know what you mean.
I guess it's not a direct one-to-one analogy, but
yeah. Actually, while you've brought up the iPad, I do also have another story.
What is that?
That is not what this is about.
I'm seeing a very sexy photo on your screen.
There is a new OnePlus pad which has entered certification in India. And you pull that face. Have you ever used a OnePlus
Yes,
pad?
I genuinely have.
Have you?
Yeah, because I compared it to the iPad at one point. I don't know if I actually put that video up, but yeah, I've used the OnePlus pad. It is a direct dupe.
It's
of
not
an
a
iPad.
no. I'm not
Yeah.
having that. I think the OnePlus
keyboard's worse.
pad. Oh, I disagree
Oh,
entirely.
it's so flappy.
I think the OnePlus keyboard. I mean, I had the first gen. I think there's been a middle.
I think I used yours. Well, it was that lovely green. It had a nice color.
Yeah,
and
they're
then
all
and then the
green.
camera's in the middle.
Yes. So
back.
I had the first gen. I think there's been a second in the middle, from what I can tell. Maybe there hasn't. I'm not really sure. I think there was another one in the middle. Pad Go, maybe. And then this is like a new flagship one. But having used a OnePlus pad for months and years, and I don't know how long I've had it actually. It's fantastic.
You still use
it? Really is. I've actually lent it to my dad at the minute, who is he had an old Samsung tablet that stopped working, and so I told him he could borrow it for a bit. But
what? Remind me, OnePlus.
Mm.
They have their own app store, don't they?
I think
That's
like
specific.
most devices these days, they will have the Play Store, but they'll also have their own app store.
Which one? There's one that was like limited.
Huawei can't use the Play Store.
There we go. You're
Yeah.
completely right. Huawei is the one that
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this would be great if I could
Yeah,
access
yeah.
things.
So Huawei can't use the Play Store due to the ongoing, which is interesting. I mean, we did say we were going to try and tiptoe away from tariffs today, but it's an interesting one. So the Huawei.
I'll probably be back next week when I publish this.
Well, the Huawei ban was put in place basically due to the ongoing fears surrounding privacy to do with Chinese companies, right?
Oh,
That's
yeah. Fears around privacy.
well, sure.
Interesting.
Well, but I'm not.
Sorry.
I'm going to do my damnedest not to get political,
I
but I do wonder where in a post-tariff landscape that leaves things like that, because it's the same concerns that we've heard about TikTok, right? People say, "Oh, TikTok
and
is
DJI.
and DJI." Like,
RIP.
I'm quietly skeptical. I'm not convinced that the threat is as pronounced as maybe it's portrayed sometimes.
By the Chinese stuff being
Yeah.
banned? Oh yeah, it's entirely a business decision. It has nothing to do with
It's-
privacy. They don't care about your privacy.
Yeah.
The government is doing this because they're trying to manipulate the markets to favor Americans, which we know never ever works. Oh guys.
It's just interesting while we came onto that topic
Sorry.
that I do wonder if Huawei, because the thing is as well, right? Huawei has been quietly making leaps and bounds of like
The tri-folding phone?
amazing.
I mean, I don't want it,
The-
but what?
The leaps they've been making, and I've seen so many people who obviously go out there and have access to the devices natively in like the Chinese market, who are saying like these things are amazing, like they're such good devices.
Yeah.
If they
great.
suddenly were allowed back onto the global and by allowed back onto the global stage, I mean have Play Store access, Google access, because let's face it, I don't think the Western market will be wholly accepting without that.
No.
It just doesn't seem likely.
No, absolutely not.
If they can do that,
Golden.
I think we've suddenly got another big big player. Because you see, the last time I checked, and I must be honest, it's not recently, it was Apple, Samsung, and then Xiaomi is the third biggest. Xiaomi, Honor, brands like that all exist in a space that 10 years ago was Huawei. Huawei was the third biggest. It was massive, and it was properly like about to be, I think it was about to be problematic for the iPhones and Samsungs of the world, because
That's
it was...
why they've mysteriously
I'm not here to pander any conspiracies of that sort.
It's
but
not even a conspiracy.
well,
though.
no,
money makes the world go round, baby.
You are right. But it's just interesting to me that that is a brand that really, really could have been humongous, and
They're still humongous in their own way.
they
Not in the
are, but
Western
not
world,
like they could have
but
been. It felt like, I always remember they did. Oh, sorry, that was louder than I thought it was gonna be. They did the Huawei MateBook, which was their MacBook. And just before I bought my Mac, I very nearly bought the Huawei MateBook because it was so like comparable on specs, but for less money. And then the ban came in, and I went, probably going to leave that.
Yeah.
And now I have a MacBook.
Easy.
So I guess
it's the easiest.
I mean, if we do believe that that's what it was for, it has kind of worked. Anyway, we've strayed slightly from the point. There's a new OnePlus Pad in certification, possibly going to be here quite soon, and I'm really excited. I think OnePlus does tablets better than almost any other Android manufacturer because they do it a bit different.
It was nice.
It's a
It was quite
different aspect
responsive when I used
ratio.
it. I liked it.
Works brilliantly.
The pen was nice.
Yeah, the pen was nice. I think I've tried a lot of Android tablets over the years, and they all just feel a bit cookie cutter. And none of them are like, they're fine. You're not going to write home about any of them. I think the OnePlus does it a little bit differently, and I really like that. So I'm excited for this one.
It did feel a bit more, I don't quite know how to express this, but like, I guess cared for, like curated. It just had that little thing that puts it over the edge, I think, where you
feels
can tell
like
it was
someone's
crafted rather than manufactured.
Someone's thought about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to move on. I've got two more stories I want to bring to your attention, if that's okay. And
Absolutely.
Then you have free reign. So first one, just a quick one, really. There's a change to the Google Messages app, which is the default like text app on most Android phones, right?
Is it what they use, though? Is it what you would use?
Yes, yeah, I use.
Oh.
So it's like.
Do you have alternatives, though?
I mean, there probably is. That's not the point I was getting into. That's having an update. Let me start that again. That is getting an update is the right word. Yeah. Mishal Rahman, who is a fantastic tech leaker, has spotted it already in the app, where you basically have a little bit more prevalence to unsubscribe from spam messages. It's something that's already been in Google Messages for a while. It's just getting a bit more prevalence now. So rather than it used to be on like the menu, 3-dot menu, now it's going to have a little bit more prevalence there. I think that's great. I don't know about you. I hate spam texts. They drive me up the wall. At all times of the day and night, I'm getting texts from...
All times?
Yeah.
Oh.
Crazy. Like...
I don't think I don't get as many as you would think, actually. Well, my number is... have you had the same phone number since you were young?
Yeah. Teenager.
Yeah, exactly. So my old phone number is getting that way, but as soon as I moved over here, switched my phone, I just think it hasn't had time enough to make the rounds.
Yeah, maybe.
So, not many people are texting me spam stuff.
Well, in any case, I think that's really cool. It's really nice to see a nice, extra, easy way of combating that, and more power to them.
It just sucks because they can just use a different number, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to stop. But the interesting bit, and I'll be honest with you, the bit I don't fully understand from Rahman's report is, so this is in beta phase for some countries, and it works for mobile phone numbers, right? So you see a standard looking phone number that's texting you saying, click this link and I'll give you 7,500 euros or whatever. What I don't fully understand, but what he was effectively saying in his report was they're also testing it for short code numbers. So those are the ones that, you can't reply to certain texts.
Yeah, like the 6-digit ones.
Yeah, and you can't really do anything with those. But they're also testing it for that, which I think is quite... I mean, I don't know if this is something that you can do elsewhere or whatever.
Accidentally lock themselves out of like their Google account and stuff when like
maybe. But I
know what you mean.
I think it's cool because the one that plagues me, Domino's pizza. I've ordered one pizza since moving house, and I get texted so many times about like different deals and stuff. Fine, whatever, it's marketing, blah, blah, blah. But I can't get rid of it.
You always reply no in all capital letters and they send you a different one.
You can't reply to it because it's a short code. I can't reply to it. And I would love to just stop it from happening, but I can't do anything about it.
Hold on, I'm just going to need to... Let me see. I just want to... Domino's. Message with Domino's. Doing pizza, okay.
Oh, it's making me hungry for pizza.
I know, I'm actually kind of hungry, yeah.
Yeah, I'm starving.
Sorry, I'm just seeing... Oh, yes. Oh, no, this isn't a 6-code number. None of these are 6-code numbers. These are all... They're all different. I'll give you that, but they are...
That's also not good, is it?
This one is... Can I please see your info? Domino's. What the hell? Why is It just says Domino's. It doesn't have a number associated with it. What? And then text opt out. Oh, report junk. That also works.
Can you reply?
Yeah. Stop. Oh, it's defunct now, isn't it? Because it was from April 2024. So I don't use that number.
Yeah,
anymore.
see, can't reply to this short code. So, because it says
this
opt out
directly-
stop text,
Text stop.
but I can't reply to it because it's a short code. So it's just interesting, something that I thought was cool. Anyway, one more from me, if I may.
Yeah.
Spotify.
Yes.
Now you're an Apple Music girl, so I'll.
No,
but-
that's okay.
okay.
I've dabbled with Spotify.
So Spotify Premium, there's been whisperings in the last few weeks that it's going to become an ad-supported tier, right? Even though you pay, what, 12 quid a month for it? Actually, no, I can't say that. Do you know what? That's unfair. Music is valuable. However, it's not, is the long and the short of it.
Are they paying the artists more in order to put,
Oh, I doubt it.
Exactly.
I doubt it. But, the ads, there was basically a couple of people who had got ads cropping up. It was a tech issue, nothing else. So it's not happening. They've stopped short in their response of saying the word ever.
Yeah.
Which
Don't
is,
box yourself in.
I think is very important to note.
Yeah, no, they.
But
yeah.
I'll read it to you here. Their post says, there is a rumor circulating that Spotify is putting ads into premium music listening. This rumor is false. Premium music listening is and will remain ad-free. Premium music listening is and will remain ad-free. That
Yeah, they didn't say never, did they?
yes, they don't say.
It was a kind of the wording is carefully. It's not the.
It's
natural,
very gently
Yeah.
put.
It feels just unnatural enough that someone had to think about it.
Yes,
If they had to think about it.
But you know what? It's good to see. I think I'm the first to. I've got a lot of opinions about Spotify. I did my undergrad in music. Used to work in the music industry. I did my entire undergrad dissertation about the amount of money that artists make from Spotify and different streaming services. I have a lot of things to say about Spotify, most of which I'm going to keep contained. But I think this is a good move. You can't.
I mean, it's a non-move, isn't it? I don't think we should be clapping them on the
Sure,
scaring them, and then them saying, "Oh no, actually, we're gonna be amazing, and actually not give you ads on the thing you paid for." Wow, good job, us.
No, you're right. But
sorry, I'm
the
so
thing is,
jaded.
when we see like Netflix has now got a basic plan where it's like a $5, but you still get ads.
I've
and stuff.
unsubscribed to Netflix. Get out. I might subscribe one more time to like watch all the ones that I've missed, but then I'll just delete it after a month. I'll just pay them $8, watch all their shit, and then peace out. I ain't paying a monthly subscription for that. Don't jerk me around.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But it's nice to see because let's face it, they probably could quite easily have done it. And I do think that at that point I would have been out.
I would have been, yeah. I mean, I guess Apple Music, knock on wood, they haven't changed their prices recently or anything. That's good. But
I think they've probably got bigger things to worry about at the minute.
Yeah, probably. But like, that's fine. I get then great. Honestly, wonderful. If my music subscription slips under the wire, but I still get the same thing as Spotify people, excellent. Fine.
Yeah.
Love that for me.
Actually, you're getting more because Apple Music is lossless by default. Which
I mean, not that I listen to. Yeah. It's lost on me.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to do a couple of quick fire?
Quick fire.
Right. OnePlus is replacing its iconic alert slider.
Oh, was it iconic?
For the brand, I would say so.
Didn't we just talk about it being? Oh
Anyway.
No, they switched. Oh no. Let me guess. They're replacing the slider with a button.
You got it.
Oh.
Yeah. Daring today, aren't we? It's yeah. I mean, I've got so many things to say about it. Ultimately, it's a bit of a non-issue, right? It's a button, not a switch. But it just irks me that once again, something so small, which defined a brand, is gone to make make way for being conformist. And I really, do you know what? I saw a video today. You know, I always talk about going into the car phone warehouse in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
I saw a video today of someone who had recorded all these old early 2000s phones, and they were popping and flipping and all this stuff. It was amazing.
I know.
And I'm like, oh.
We've talked about the good old
We've
days
talked about it so much, but
we're in danger of becoming old fuddy-duddies.
we are literally that, I think. I think that's where we are. But it is such a shame, I think.
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch 2.
Oh, God.
Obviously, massive release.
Yeah.
We
Going to see it real early tomorrow. I have to wake up and get a 6:02 train.
have fun with that.
Yeah, by the time I publish this, hopefully have video of it for you.
The important thing that I want to say here, because we could go into all sorts of details about it. It probably deserves its own podcast episode, actually. But
I could talk about this for ages.
I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of it. The one thing I do want to say is the display. LCD, not OLED. Now,
I don't care.
Don't you?
No.
Interesting. I find that a really odd thing for a modern company to do. I just want to let you know what the point of this is, and then we can go for it. The general manager for technology development at Nintendo, that is the longest job title I've ever seen in the world. I've parred that. Said there are a lot of advancements that have been made in LCD technology during development. We took a look at the technology that was available to us, and after a lot of consideration, decided to stick with LCD. Even with the OLED version of the Nintendo Switch, we didn't have compatibility for HDR, but that's something we now have the support for.
Right. So they've replaced it with HDR.
So they're saying that the LCD now offers HDR. The thing is, so does OLED. You get that in TVs, in phones.
Right.
We get HDR support.
But I think it's cheaper to still do.
I agree with you.
And it's already getting to be quite a pricey device for something that, I'm sorry, I feel like most people who are gamers who are actually going to care about the OLED portion, they're not, their main gaming device is not a Switch.
Well, also, the other point of this, we obviously had the original Switch and then the Switch OLED, and I suspect that might be something we see here, where you get the Switch 2, and then in a couple of years' time, there'll be the Switch 2 OLED for another 50
The thing I'm heartbroken about is, where's the Switch Lite?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of, like I say, there's a lot we could say about it. I feel like I'm actually probably not the best qualified to talk about it as well, because like I'm not the gameriest person here, but I just thought that was an interesting thing where they've obviously gone to a slightly outdated form of technology.
But is it any less? I mean, I don't think it's that noticeable. Like if you're playing Mario Kart, you don't need it to be like.
No, fair point. And I guess that's the concession, right? It's
also the screen itself is not OLED, but if you've got a Nintendo Switch, aren't you hooking it up to a TV a lot of the times?
I don't know. I've never seen anyone do that in the real world.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly though, that's what they want, right? So maybe that's what they're trying to encourage.
Maybe.
It was very, I mean, there's a lot to say that I could say about them. I don't think we should get into it now. Let me get my little mitts on it, and actually, I don't get to touch it whatsoever tomorrow. That's great. I'll watch my colleague get his little mitts on it.
Yeah, and then we can do something about it next week. All right, well, it's been a pleasure. If you've got anything you want to
moan and groan about,
disagree with, let us know in the comments down below.
It
always makes it good fun.
I love a hot take.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, bye.